Certification is known in some countries as registration. So you are registered as ISO 9001 company. So you register yourself as a company that follows one or both of these standards, or you are certified. Somebody has come and inspected you, and I certify that Triano Incorporated is fully compliant with ISO 9001 standards. So what does it mean to be certified or registered? It means that an independent external body has audited an organization's management system and verified that it conforms to the requirements specified in the standard. And this is no small task. To be certified is a big deal. Companies need to get everybody from top to bottom on board, and you go through a lot of hoops, and you make sure that you are documenting and training and going through a tremendous amount of detail to overhaul your company's management processes. But once you do that, you get that seal of approval called ISO certification. Now, ISO does not carry out the certification. ISO only provides the standards. That's it. They work closely with businesses around the world to continually develop and refine and improve these standards based on moving technology. What we did in the 80s is no longer the same as what we do today. Huge changes in technology and computers and communication systems mean that management needs to adapt. Management is different today than it was in the past. So, accreditation. It's like certification of the certification body. So I can give you an example of accreditation. At Hartnell, we are an accredited institution of higher education, meaning an independent organization has inspected our curriculum, programs, all of our management systems, our financial records, all kinds of things. We go through this regularly to be inspected by an independent organization. It's not the state of California. It is an accrediting body. Now, because we have received accreditation from the accrediting body that we are an accredited institution of higher learning, we can give you degrees that mean something. And those degrees have meaning around the country and even around the world that you got a degree from an accredited college. Well, the same thing is true with the ISO standards. ISO just makes the standards, but there is a process for independent inspectors to become ISO certification companies. And that's what they do. That's their main purpose. They're these companies that go to other companies for the sole purpose of inspecting them, of advising them, of training them, and helping them become certified under various ISO standards. And so these are special ISO certification inspectors, basically. And in order to become authorized to become an inspector of ISO standards, you need this accreditation. It's the same thing that we need to get to give you a degree. Hartnell needs to be accredited as a recognized institution of higher learning that has all the management pieces in place, all the curriculum pieces and program pieces in place to be a legitimate college. Well, these certification bodies need all of their ducks in a row, all of their training and information and knowledge and processes in place to become a certifying body. Then they go around to other companies and give them their ISO certifications or deny their ISO certifications or help them overcome any problems to become certified. So accreditation means the formal approval by a specialized body, an accreditation body, that a certification body is competent to carry out ISO 9001:2015 or ISO 14001:2015 certification in specified business sectors. So you can't just become ISO accredited. You can do it for the aerospace industry or the car manufacturing industry or some other industry. You can't just do everything. You need to be a specialist in that industry. Certificates issued by accredited certification bodies and known as accredited certificates may be perceived on the market as having increased credibility. In other words, it's like getting a degree. If I can pay $20 to get a degree from a non-credited university, and there's some of those out there, you send in a little bit of money and they'll send you a certificate. You didn't do anything. You didn't take classes, or maybe you did take some classes and you paid a lot of money, but they're not accredited. And so they're seen in a different light. They're a college, some, online college that's not accredited. Are they really teaching anything meaningful? Nobody's watching out. Nobody's making sure they're really legitimate. So to get an ISO certificate from a non-certified body is meaningless. You need it to be from an accredited agency. Now, as I mentioned earlier, and in bold to make sure you know this, ISO does not carry out or approve accreditations. They are not responsible for that. Certification is not a requirement of ISO 9001 or ISO 14001. The organization can implement and benefit from ISO 9001 or 14001 system without having it certified. So you can use it. It's out there. You can get the books and manuals and read them and implement them and not go the extra step to do all of it or get certified. You can implement all or none or just a little, whatever you decide to do. And that's fine. You can use that to improve your company and nobody needs to know about it. Or you can do these things and use it to tell your company, we're doing this and this and this, and it's making us much better quality or better environmental stewards. We're doing better. But you can't say you're ISO certified unless you really go in whole hog. You go the whole way. The organization can implement them for the internal benefits without spending money on a certification program. Certification programs are expensive because you're paying somebody to come to your company and go through excruciating detail in following and inspecting your records and your company's management structure and your processes, and it takes a lot of work. So you're paying an accredited expert or a team of accredited experts to put your company under a microscope. It's expensive. Is it worth it? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on your company's decision. So, if it is a contractual, regulatory, or market requirement, you may want to be certified. You need to. Your contract says that you will be certified. You got to get your certificate or keep your certificate valid. It might be, it might be regulatory, meaning under the law, your organization, if you're in, I believe aerospace, it's required. If you are a provider of parts for the aerospace industry, you have to be an ISO 9001 organization, period. Maybe the market demands, it's not the government saying you have to, it's just, you want to play ball in this industry, you're ISO certified or nobody cares about you. It's one of the understood things in your industry that it's just expected. Might be customer preferences. Your customer might want it or prefer it. You do it because you want to win that customer's confidence. Might be part of your risk management program. That can be a great step. So yeah, being ISO 9001 certified or 14001 certified, I can say, hey, this is part of my procedures, my processes for an effective risk management program in a company that needs that, in a company that has hazardous materials or any other reason why you might need a risk management program. It can motivate staff by setting goals. You get this energy, at least the one time I've been involved in this, there is an energy that lasts for quite a long time when you're in the cycle of ISO certification or recertification, where everybody's looking at themselves and their departments and wanting to be doing better and show it. And you're trying to say, look at what we're doing. We're doing really great things. And people do get motivated. ISO does not carry out the certification. It does not issue certificates. It does not accredit or approve or control the certification bodies. ISO just develops the standards and guides to encourage good practices within the accreditation and certification process. But it's up to the rules and regulations within the country or within the industry sector to determine how these certifiers actually work. ISO 9001 is the standard that gives requirements for quality management. The latest is the 2015. It is the only standard in the ISO 9000 family that can be used for certification. So there are others, don't worry about that. But there are 16 other standards that can help an organization on specific aspects, such as auditing, training, et cetera. So there are more than just the 9001 within that 9000 quality family. But 9001 is the biggie and the only one that you get certified. So you can pick and choose among the other 16 to see if they're applicable to your company and add them in. 14001 is environmental standards, or is an environmental management system. The 2015 version is the latest. And again, just like previously, the 14001 is the only standard within the 14000 family that can be used for certification. There are 21 additional 14000 group or family standards that organizations can utilize as applicable within their organization. So there might be auditing, environmental labeling, life cycle analysis, things that you might look at within your organization. So within the ISO survey, these are older numbers. The only thing I really wanted to point out here is worldwide total of the standards. You can see from 03 to 07, there was huge increases in ISO 9001, but the growth rate was dropping. So the total number was growing, but the rate was dropping. This was a really important period of the spread of the ISO 9001 certifications. Now, the countries, I also wanted to point out this number, China being so much ahead of every other country. There's some question marks about that, and I've certainly heard some very unsettling information that these numbers were basically a pay-to-play operation in China. You want to be a business in China, you will be certified, and certified doesn't mean following the standards, it means paying the money. And so the accrediting bodies basically were demanding high amounts of money to play. I don't know how true all of that was, but it certainly made a lot of sense. And I heard that from multiple sources that ISO in China during this period certainly was highly questionable, whether it was more about money and less about real quality. Anyway, but it depends on a lot of factors whether you get ISO certified or not. What is the market? What is the industry? What is the attitudes within your country? What kind of competitive issues are there? So there's a lot of decisions to go on whether you actually become certified versus just utilizing some of the useful information, useful systems, guidelines in the standards. Don't worry about the numbers. I don't care about the numbers. I'm not going to go into that. Again, I don't care about some of those. So what are the benefits of having the standards? International expert consensus on state-of-the-art practices for quality and environmental management. You are using what are considered the best of the best from some of the brightest minds in industries from around the world. So you are capitalizing on some of the best thinking, the best recommendations from some of the best companies. It's hard to argue with that. There's also a common language for dealing with customers and suppliers worldwide in business to business. B2B means business to business. So if you're an ISO certified company and your vendors or your customers or your competitors are also ISO, you've got this common language and you understand each other. You're working within a framework of understanding these management processes and these systems processes that are the foundation of these ISO standards. And it makes communication more effective and it helps you with your own marketing with the business to business relationships. Certainly, these standards can help you become more efficient and more effective. The ISO standards provide a model for continual improvement. So you don't just say, we're the best, and you just sit there and keep doing the same thing until you realize after it's too late that some competitor has passed you by. There are a lot of great stories of companies that were at the top of their game and they lost it. I don't know how many companies that you can think of, but the entire American auto industry dismissed the Japanese auto industry as just a bunch of garbage automakers coming out of a has-been country, and they ate our lunch. The Japanese auto industry took over in ways that killed the American auto industry in many ways for many years. It's far more competitive now. Some people still think the Japanese are eating our lunch, but we're holding our own in this day and age, in my opinion, depending on which vehicles you're talking about. Sears, hell, Sears from the late 1800s, they were the source for goods. You need something, the Sears catalog. Sears had it down, and the internet killed it. Sears is struggling. They didn't adapt to change. And a lot of companies have watched the internet just kill their business because they didn't have a good model for continual improvement and adapting to a new market. So these ISO standards provide models for satisfying customers and other stakeholders, owners and stakeholders in the company. They can build quality into products or services from the design step onwards. They can address environmental concerns, of customers and the public, and comply with government regulations. And it can help you integrate, play ball on a global economy. All of these things. These standards help provide a sustainable business, not only economically sustainable, from a quality standpoint, from an environmental standpoint, provide a unifying base for industry sectors. So if ISO standards are uniformly used throughout a particular industry sector, a section of industry, like the automobile industry or the aerospace industry, it helps tie the whole industry together in a way that is efficient for everybody. The old adage, rising tide raises all ships. And the entire industry sector can do better because everybody's playing on this more effective playing field. Qualify suppliers for a global supply chain. So you can use these ISO standards to help make sure that your suppliers meet your needs. Technical support. Now that's only if you're paying for it. If you are certified, you get technical support for the regulations in your industry. You're certifying, you're accredited certifying agency, the one that inspects, assists, and certifies you as ISO compliant. They also, for part of your fee, provide technical support and help make sure that you are not only meeting the ISO standards, but government regulations. Transfer of good practices to developing countries. So you're trying to take a business that you have established, you're going to build a new facility in South America or in Asia. The ISO standards systems, the management systems, help you transfer your business practices to those new locations. Tools for new economic players. So you're going to be you're opening a new industry sector, you're starting something brand new. I don't know, you're going to have tourism for space travel. How are you going to do that? That nobody's done it till now. And ISO standards might help you develop a whole new sector. Or if you're going to be a new player in that sector, how am I going to be competitive coming into a sector that already exists? I want to start a development company again, or I want to start a new automobile manufacturing company with a new line of cars. Excuse me. So, bad timing. I was just about done. But essentially, here's the ISO website. You could investigate that. The management system magazine, ISO Focus. I'm not sure if these are still active. Yep, ISO Focus. There it is. And The newsletter, no, the newsletter's not there. I'm not going to change somebody else's PowerPoint. But there's lots of information on the ISO website. And if you're interested in learning more, feel free. There's the cover of one of their older issues. And that's it.